Hello and welcome to the BurnCast. I'm Brady Byrne.
And I'm Kim Cass.
Today we're looking at a book called GhostWRITER, a novel of coastal intrigue by author Don Rich. As always, any criticisms directed towards the authors and works that we discuss are exaggerated for entertainment purposes and are not meant to be taken personally. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoy the show. Let's talk about GhostWRITER.
Let's talk about it.
So, this is coming hot off the press of quite a slump for the BurnCast and finding basically anything resembling a real book on Amazon.
Now, as you know, or don't know, the Amazon world of publishing is infected by copy-paste books, stolen books, basically anything that can be uploaded to trick others or to garner some profits. And it's a world of tripe. The problem for us is that when you have such volume of books, it floods out the ones that we're actually looking for, which is the ones that people have actually written.
Yeah, and it can be hard to find the ones that are actually interesting to talk about.
Yeah.
And out of nowhere, speeding along at a high cruise speed of 60 mph comes GhostWRITER.
Yeah. Now, I think also, I don't know what happened. For a long time, we were not able to find anything.
Yeah.
It was just over-flooded with just the most nonsense books you've ever seen. And really things that, look, if you've listened to one episode on it, you've listened to everything we could say on it. So we're not going to do that again. However, the books seem to be back.
Yeah, the books are back.
The books are back, and they're coming back strong. And this book caught our eye because the cover is spectacular.
Yeah.
And the title is not connected. And so it was really intriguing. GhostWRITER, but then the picture is a speedboat tearing it up.
Yeah, tearing it up.
It's absolutely blasting down the waterways. And it's a spectacular image.
Yeah, it's got a subtitle, a novel of coastal intrigue, and we love boat-themed stuff. We've been looking for, something that was a little more substantive in the boat department since Manatee Murders, really.
Yes. Now, as we all know, Manatee Murders was a book that was, it started off detective crime and then segued into maritime coastal laws and frustrations from the author about the speedboat limit.
And the driest personal life problems of the main character who couldn't care less about being in the story he was in.
Now, obviously, speedboat on the cover, guaranteeing action-packed scenes.
Yeah. Then we look at the synopsis, which says this is a book about AI.
Yeah.
And it says this is a story about artificial intelligence writing fake books to sway political elections. And you think, wow, that doesn't seem to have anything to do with speedboats, but I'm in.
Yeah, I'm in. You've got me. Yeah. And that's all you need.
So
for the BurnCast, that's all you need.
Yeah.
You need a picture of a boat, a title that doesn't connect, and then a synopsis that
makes
brings
no
up,
sense.
that brings up things that we've already run into in real life.
Yeah, so we cracked it open, and boy, did we get something out of it.
Yeah.
It actually opens with a very funny quote from Benjamin Netanyahu, of all people.
Yeah, Benjamin Netanyahu, who is, for those who don't know, the Prime Minister of Israel. Now, what?
Well, the quote that is listed here, it says, "It doesn't matter if justice is on your side. You have to depict your position as just." So
he's saying, it doesn't matter, good or bad, just make people think you did good?
Yeah. As long as you can convince people what you did was justified, it is.
Yeah.
So with a quote like that, you think, all right, I'm actually really not sure what I'm going to get out of this, but I'm going to get something.
It's kind of like saying, I'm not racist, but.
Yeah.
Or like a comment like that, it's like, look, the world is grey and you can't just blame me for wanting things. It's like you're trying to defend a negative action before you've done it, or before you've told me that you've done it. Mm-hmm. And it's a little odd quote. Usually it's an inspiring quote. You get something like, always trust your instincts, or I don't know. I don't know. I rescind that because I've never seen that in the beginning of a book, but you get my point.
Yeah, it's usually some sort of like a quote that's going to tie into the theme of the story. Yeah. And if you're going to start off with the quote that is immediately
strange,
assigning the characters a sort of carefree attitude when it comes to justice and the truth, then, well, you're bound to get something interesting. Yeah. And this book really, as with some of the other ones we've gone through, is more prolific in terms of who wrote it.
Yes.
Mr. Don Rich
Yeah. Now, Don Rich, obviously a big boathead, a huge maritime fan.
Yeah.
And it's so funny always when you read a book how the author comes through.
His interests and his lifestyle are infused into everything he writes.
Yeah. And on one hand, it's awesome.
Yes.
And on the other hand, it's awful.
Yeah, because it detracts significantly from what the book is supposed to be about, which is about like AI computed books being written.
And speedboats just in general. And then it becomes...
Well, those two things just go hand in hand, really.
And it is very funny because while it is quite specialized with knowledge in some areas...
Yeah.
It lacks a tremendous amount of knowledge, or it has a very surface level knowledge about some other things.
Well, we get that right at the beginning because the book doesn't just start off with the story. First, we get the author's note, which is like kind of him talking directly to you about why he's interested in this subject and how he heard a speech about how AI was going to come in and take over.
It's coming for your job.
Yeah, it's going to come for your jobs. It's going to take over automated cars on the streets and ooh, spooky, right? Yeah. And he talks about that, and then there's a dedication to the friend of his who he based the main character off of. So there's a lot of, direct conversation between the author and you before the story even gets started. And he basically sets you up for like, this is going to be a story about the dangers of AI and where I think we're headed with things. And it sort of is.
I mean, how does that play out?
Well...
How dangerous is the AI in this book?
Well, for that we have to get into the prologue, which we see a guy named Joe breaking into some sort of like compound. He's a thief. He's a car booster, I believe.
Yeah. And he's smirking at how easy the security is to get by. He's remarking about like how the security fence doesn't even have barbed wire on top of it.
Yeah, the eggheads who designed this system were,
And he's sort of scoffing through it, and then
it takes a dark turn for him because he suddenly notices some headlights blasting from behind him. And he turns around, and what does he see? A Tesla, which has snuck up on him. Stealthy cars.
Yes, they're deadly quiet. They're very stealthy, very sneaky cars.
Yes.
You leave them to their own devices and they will sneak up on you and they will murder you.
Now, Tesla, of course, big research into self-automated driving. And can you imagine if there was a sentient AI core inside of a Tesla? Well, it would just be the world's most efficient assassin.
Yeah. Imagine it. And again, electric engine makes it deadly silent.
Yes.
It can come right up into your bedroom and murder you straight in your sleep.
And so it does.
It's Teslas. It's outrageous.
It crushes Joe.
Yeah.
And that's not the end of his...
No, because they've also got that same technology in the... what is it called?
It's like a backhoe.
Yeah, it's like a tractor digging machine.
Yeah.
And, of course, the backhoe, all self-driven, self-automated. This is AI stuff. It's high tech. So the Tesla and the backhoe
work together.
They work together to cover up the crimes.
Yeah.
They bury the body and they cover the tracks.
Yeah.
And
it says the backhoe scooped up Joe's body and drove out into the field as the deer slowly walked away. Since they were used to the unmanned equipment moving around and realized the machines posed no threat to them.
Yeah.
So we've got sort of a nature.
Nature and machines.
Yes.
They can coalesce. Humans, no.
No.
Teslas will murder you.
Yes, but a deer recognizes, that Tesla is not a threat to me. And now that's sort of his statement on this is the danger of AI. You get an AI in a car.
Look, we can't control what they're doing. Those Teslas could be in your bedroom.
They could be anywhere.
They could be coming for you.
They could be anywhere. And now, Joe, of course, made the deadly assumption that there was no security system, but in fact it was the cars themselves.
It was the cars themselves, yes. Oof, what a sweet twist. Now, upon reading that, I was hook, line, and sinker. I was like, damn.
Now, we were initially very excited after this prologue because an opening like that, you think, all right, this is
going to be about murderous Teslas, and the only way to beat it is on the back of a huge speedboat. It's going to be it's going to show the efficacy of boats versus cars. And it was heading in that direction. I was totally amped up for that.
Yeah, and it's pretty front-loaded with that kind of action because the first line you get in the actual first chapter goes, "My custom white and red Fountain 47 Lightning Go-Fast boat, Blitz, has become even more important for my work than I used to be." And Blitz takes center stage in this book.
Yeah.
He is a fast boat. He's a go fast.
Yeah, he's a go fast. Now there are pleasure crafts and there are go fasts, and it's very important that you realize the distinction between the two. Now, a pleasure craft, that's more for your yachting types. That's more
that's
for
like a wining and dining sort of.
Yeah, you take the ladies and get them tipsy topside, and then you have the the lounging area below decks.
Oh, yes.
And that's something, it's not high speed, of course.
No, but it's got the private compartment for entertainment and, overnight trips.
Yes. Now, the go fast, of course, this is all about power. It's all about speed.
Yeah. It's about speed. Now, what kind of equipment is Blitz boasting on this trip?
Well, it's supporting a dual power plant, twin Mercury, 1350s, I believe. Now, that's a lot of horsepower on the back of that ship. And this thing, it has a high cruising speed of 60 miles per hour.
Yes.
Some would call that quite quick already. Yeah. But this is just cruising.
Yeah.
And the go fast, of course. And even if you have a 2-foot chop, you won't feel it.
Yeah. We get a lot of descriptions about how fucking fast Blitz is.
There's a lot of throttling up. There's a lot of throttling down. Now, he could push it all the way. He could go wide open.
Yeah, but he doesn't.
He doesn't.
No.
It's just good to know that the power's there.
Yeah. Now, having a go fast is, as much as it is about speed, it's about having restraint.
Yeah.
To use that speed.
Yeah, you don't want to open it all the way. You don't want to open it all the way because that might hurt the engine long term. And if you're a good sailor, if you're a good maritime specialist,
if you're a good boater,
you don't always want to max it out.
No.
You want to tame it back. It's just about knowing you could and not releasing the full power.
Yeah, it's about
and that's
control.
kind of the key idea in the whole book is it's all about being able to, but never actually needing to.
Yeah, now that sort of theme is infused with our main character, Colt Toffler's interactions. His interactions with all of his boating friends. Of course, everyone in this story is a big boater.
Yeah, everyone has a boat. Some people have 2 boats.
And are immensely attracted to people who have boats as well.
Honestly, you can't come to the table and talk to these people if you don't have a boat yourself. And I'm not talking about like a little dinghy or something like that. I'm talking about either a pleasure craft, if not a go fast.
Yeah.
Preferably both.
And now Colt Toffler, our guy, it does set him up with a pretty clear narrative voice. And he comes in with this statement about Blitz. And he says, to be honest, I bought it for recreation. It was an expensive toy, but in my mind, it was also a necessary tool to blow off steam because my job at times is stressful.
So, and again, he's saying like, look, you can call this thing a toy if you really want, but honestly, I don't know how I would function as a person if I didn't have the twin 1350s to back me up sometimes,
To get from A to B.
If your girlfriend's barking at you, she's barking at you, she's going wild. Throttle up, let the 1350s talk.
Yeah, you go up past 70 mph, it drowns out all noise.
Yeah, he literally says you cannot have a conversation on the boat at full speed.
No.
It's just not an option.
It's talked about several times that when he doesn't want to engage in conversation, he pumps it up.
He pumps it up.
Yeah.
And it's really important to note that like he has multiple occasions where he has women and love interests on the boat.
Yeah.
And he's got his hand on the throttle because if he doesn't like where the conversation is going, he's going to throttle up.
Yeah.
And, sometimes when this is a meaningful moment in the story, it literally, he throttles down to neutral and then crosses his arms and looks at the lady friend to allow her to speak. And that's a power play. And you need that. It's not about always utilizing it. It's about having the ability to.
Yes. It's about having choices, really. Because Blitz, it says, is almost as fast as a helicopter. And while she's loud, she draws less attention.
Even though she's so loud, you can't have a conversation while on board her.
Yeah. Now, Colt comes across as this kind of like seaside mercenary. He goes in and he cleans up all the refuse left by the DC elites. He's sort of like a gun for hire kind of guy. And, you get this idea that we're going to go on a journey on the high seas sort of thing.
Maybe stop some drug smugglers or, they're bringing in a secret AI computer on sea and there's only one man that can effectively attack another craft on the open waters because he's got the 1350s at his back.
And he can let them go wide.
He can open them up 100%.
But actually, as soon as he kind of steps out of his boat, the story kind of slows down because you find out that he actually doesn't have
legs.
He doesn't have go-fasts of his own.
No.
He doesn't have legs at all.
He doesn't have twin 1350s on his legs. He has nothing down there.
Just prosthetics.
Now, he's a bit of a stumpy man, you could say. Yeah. The first time he hops off the boat onto the ramp, it says that the ramp was a little more steep than he expected because the tide was out.
Yeah.
And it takes him a little while able to walk his way up that ramp.
Yeah, but he's a bionic boater. I mean, he's stomping up this ramp and saying, I could take this thing at a mean 1 or 2 miles per hour, but I'm going to take it back a little bit.
Now, I imagine this kind of as a movie because it really has that 80s vibe.
Yeah.
It just, he's got the wraparound sunglasses. He's tearing it up with the 1350s. And you get this intro that's kind of like that. You know, it's like it's going through the boat. Yeah. It's telling you about the power, about the speed, about the ability, about the temperance.
Yes.
Now, and then he arrives at his locale, and it's like, I get the scene, he's tearing it up. You can see it in the movie, all these great shots, the helicopter's trying to keep up. You know? and then he arrives at
But the
port.
noise is just being drowned out by the 1350s.
Yeah, the twin Mercuries. And you arrive in port, right? And then you finally get the scene. You've only seen his torso to this point in the flick. And as soon as he hops off the boat, you see that he's literally, he's only half a man down there. So that was quite a funny twist. Maybe one peg leg would be acceptable for me to understand.
Yeah.
But this movie is very ableist. You can still be an effective special agent, basically, mercenary, gun for hire. Yeah, if you don't have legs.
Yeah, if you don't have a couple of go-fasts to move you around. But he's actually not the only person in the story who is handicapped in the limb area. And that does come into play, actually, in the plot later on.
It is funny, though, because, within boating activities, within boating stories, it's a staple to have characters that maybe they're missing an eye, or maybe they're missing a leg, or a hand, or something like that, But it front loads with look at how this character's lost both legs and this character can't walk properly either. It's fully packed with ableism.
So the story does kind of take a little while to get going. First you got to establish that he's got that power in the Yamahas.
Yeah.
And he pulls up to the port to see his buddy Sandy, who is an author. Now Sandy yells at him saying, "Hey man, can you quiet those puppies down for me so I can talk to you?" And Colt lets loose with actually, I can't do that, pal.
I gotta let these babies keep singing until the oil cools down. And he's literally in port blasting his engines in his big speedboat, and everyone's like, "Bro, seriously, turn those fucking things off." And he's like, "Well, that wouldn't be good for the engines.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be good for the twin Mercuries."
Yeah, he's always telling them, I could blast these babies out, but it would reduce their lifespan, and I got to keep them running hot.
Yeah. Look, I need this because my job's so stressful, and if I don't annoy other people, how am I going to deal with my own issues?
Now, we had the idea that this was going to be the hard target of boat enthusiastic stories.
Yeah, well, every time he opens it wide open with the twin Mercuries, it really is. I mean, the language that, all this talk about the 2-foot chop meaning nothing, and the twin Mercuries going wide open. I mean, it's just spectacular. And as soon as he steps off that boat, it becomes Jones to the Mantis level horror.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah. He's trying to set up a company with his boating pals who...
It's a security company.
And they have discovered that a company called Big Nile Publishing...
That's Amazon.
Which the author says has no affiliation or is not directly inspired by the biggest current indie publisher in the world, but it is totally Amazon. They've discovered that Big Nile Publishing is involved in AI machine writing books that can create fake news stories to turn people's opinions towards one political side to sway an upcoming election.
And it's the way they figure this out is so roundabout. It's the speed at which people write stories about things for example, that the president has just said online, and then 2 hours later there's a book on it.
Yeah.
And it's oh, well, how could this be, And what about all the other real authors that are going to get swamped out, and this is an injustice? And what about all the other indie authors that we need to get on the side of the indie authors, even though, why the fuck would Colt Toffler care about indie publishers and all this nonsense?
But that's where you can see that this is
and there is a character in this book who is a published author. He's a big time. That's Sandy. Yeah. Sandy. And both of his nieces are also authors. They just don't have material to write about. I don't know how you're an author before you've written anything. But
yeah, well, the nieces play a strange role in this story. I mean...
they're just kind of proteges, but that's beside the point. There is a character that is a writer, but it's only after the fact that they realize this, plot of oh my God, Big Nile is doing this, publishing AI stuff, that they go, actually, I got a boy who's a writer. And it's just like,
yeah.
Why would they be talking about this at all? It's not within their spectrum of.
Well, this is where it comes.
I would assume that the Colt Toffler and his crew are dealing with boat-related issues. They're dealing with drug smugglers.
Yeah, I thought we were going to be hopping over marinas, blasting those 1350s open wide.
Yeah, out chasing some.
But instead, we're slowly crawling around in boat-side offices, talking about how a publishing company is writing fake books. To change politics.
And they're not even like fake books. They're just really quickly written by a computer.
Yeah, and this is where...
And the greatest crime that it commits is that it writes a story, like it'll write, let's say the president says something, and then it will write perhaps a liberally minded piece and a Republican minded piece. So it's actually kind of being fair. Like, it's,
well, yeah.
It's giving a real, it's like, look, you can have the liberal viewpoint or the Republican viewpoint, and they classify that as like the worst crime that man can commit.
Yeah. Well, this is where...
computer.
Well, this is where like the AI twist, sort of gets lost, because we've talked about fake books on Amazon that are just, being written by machines and that sort of thing. And there's no like futuristic AI needed for that.
No.
Or even to write fake news stories. So he's like, I wanted to write a story about the dangers of AI. But why would the highest level scheme they'd be doing is writing fake books when there are literally sentient Tesla assassins in parking lots?
Well, that's way crazier than fake books. You've got the ability for cars to do murder cleanups, and you've got all the stuff out there, and that's just to protect the computer publishing thing.
Yeah, but the theme of AI and boating doesn't really mix. But he wanted to write about AI, and he loves boats.
Yeah, well, so he's not going to ever leave the boating scene.
No.
Like, he's not going to write a boat that's just about some guy in an office working out some scam that's going on. No. He's going to write a book about boat guys that figure this out.
Yeah, and everything is going to revolve around boats.
Yeah. One chapter, he's traveling up the Chesapeake. The next one,
he's at a high cruise speed of 60 mph, and then
if that girl keeps talking, he'll throttle up.
Yeah.
Well, if the girl keeps talking, he'll...
Well, we need to talk about girls now, because there's...
Wow, that's what the book is about, really.
Yeah, there's another distraction in this book, let's say, is he wanted to write about AI, but he can't leave out the boat stuff. And the other thing he can't leave out is, like, inane relationship talk.
It's bizarre how it keeps coming back to the same issues.
And
what is it with inane relationship? Will they or won't they? Oh, I want to be in a relationship with you, but
we've always had partners at the same time. And
it's like
now that we're both single, I don't think we should do it because it could ruin our friendship. But they're just flirt friends.
Yeah, they're just flirt friends. This is a man who's supposed to be like 40, 50, 60 years old.
Yeah, he's a badass boater who's
he can't get his head around how to handle a very simple relationship.
Maybe that takes up like 10% of the plot, but it's like literally half.
What are you talking about? It's like 70%.
I mean, it actually is. It is the most frustrating twist.
Kelly.
Yeah, no,
I like Kelly, but I don't know if I should date her or not, even though she's asking me to date her, and she's not sure if we should date for reasons because we don't know if we could make it work.
Yeah, but even once we do get together, then we need to pull back and say, well, I think I'm getting scared.
Yeah, I'm getting scared, and I want to pull back, and I want to make sure...
You want to clock it back into neutral.
Yeah, you want to clock it back into neutral, make sure, he has enough audacity to go spend a shit ton of hardcore cash on a speedboat with ridiculously sized engines on it so he can tear it up down the Chesapeake.
Not just one boat, but over the course of the story, he becomes a two-boat owner.
Yeah, of course they reference the greatest maritime movie, anything that's out there. Book, novel, I don't care what you want to call it. Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, like it's not named, though.
You
want to drop that.
Yeah, it's a little nod. It's a little nod. Yeah, nod of the hat there, because he becomes a two-boat owner. He's a Commodore now. Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now, so good.
Yeah, now we do need to talk about Kelly, because she's not just the love interest. She's a big part of the plan to take down the AI writer system. And now, Kelly is a tech specialist.
Of course she is.
And now that means she's going to get a lot of tech dialogue. So when they're going over their plan...
It's just amazing. It's like
it really is.
You want to say surface level, but it's like skimming across the ground. Kelly, any ideas how to shut this thing down? we have been working on a new program I call Lestat, because it's got fangs and will suck the life out of any system. What makes this one work so well is that it is tough to find. It's timed and will piggyback itself onto any backup. Once it reaches the detonation time, it not only wipes out the memory, but it damages the drives, either flash drives or motorized hard drives. Think of it as a case-contained electromagnetic... Think of it as a case-contained electromagnetic resonance crossed with acoustic resonance. What it can't zap, it'll shatter. And anyone that knows tech knows what that means.
Yeah. And she continues by saying, I'm counting on an automated repopulation of the backup system only after a system test and code scan. Then on the stealth program, a timed fuse allows the replacement system to get up and running. If anyone gets in after that and looks through the code, they will lose their system as well during the second detonation. Think of it as the gift that keeps on giving.
Now, she's just doing this. She's just working on a program that hacks into anything and destroys things as they find them, but it also has acoustic resonance in the optic fibers.
Well, it has a closed fiber circuit between the writer system and the program system.
And the program system. Okay, that's the element that I was missing to make me understand how it works. Now, if I were to summarize this book in its entirety, you get a little bit of boat stuff.
Yeah, first of all, at the start, you're rocketing along at 100 mph.
Open, 100 mph on the back of the twin Mercuries.
Yeah.
And then you throttle back. You get a tiny little bit of tech talk. And then relationship stuff for...
like 20 pages at a time.
20 pages at a time. And then you get a little bit of tech talk. Then more idling, more going down the Chesapeake. We let the girl talk now. She's talking about her feelings. Now I talk about my feelings. We go back up the Chesapeake, a little bit of TikTok, and then
in between all of that, it's like meeting with my other boat friends and going up on their ship, the Lady Dawn, and having a beer. Having cocktails on the bridge. And it's like...
and what Bayside restaurant should we visit next?
Like, isn't it AI taking over the world and crushing people?
Yeah, what about David Buxton? That's Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, we got to take Buxton down. The election's coming up, but
the election is in 100 days. Let's fire down to the Bayside and get a couple cocktails. Lest I open up my twin Mercuries and let everyone in this harbor know who I am.
Yeah, and of course their plan is to go to like an auction site that is auctioning off the sale of a fake book written to sway the election, but they need to shut down the server farm, which is made in a place called Crozet, and they find this by tracking down...
The name of the company is Torzek, or Torzek.
Which is like Crozet backwards, and like the progression of like trying to figure out what's going on.
The detective work is so bad.
It's ridiculous.
Oh my god! Torzek is Crozet backwards.
That means the AI is there.
Yeah.
And of course, the AI is guarding the compound.
Yeah, that's kind of all the AI is used for. It's not like any sort of real story that has AI and it's like, oh my god, is this AI like more intelligent than us? Can we control it? Or all the big themes, all the big topics, paperclip stuff. Who knows? There are so many ideas to explore there. No. Just means that Teslas can kill you now.
Yeah, they talk about how that truck there makes this whole property a killing field. No way to outrun a fleet of autonomous Teslas. That's dialogue.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't. You couldn't. No.
You couldn't outrun a normal Tesla. Either.
No.
It doesn't matter if it's automated.
The guy behind it could do the same thing. Yeah. Could have a man in that car. Just run you over.
They built the place like Fort Knox. Even the manhole covers to the fiber vaults are locked and camera monitored. Probably the same at the programming center. No way to get in there and still leave it up and operating. They're likely to have a detection and isolation system in Nova if it thinks something is hinky. The tech talk and like the investigation talk is bizarre.
Like, yeah,
it's just bizarre.
But often it's so convoluted, and he's just putting as many words as he can into a sentence.
Yeah.
That I'm not getting any information.
No,
out.
you get nothing.
Like it's very hard to pass any sort of story out of it or any sort of plot.
No.
Now, within the story, there is a lot of talk about, and it kind of brings it up in the beginning, how like you've got these boats and the cars kill people. The Teslas are bad. Quiet engine, bad. Stealthy killer, bad. Big engine, roar, loud, good. Twin Mercuries, good.
It's about power.
It's about power. It's about speed. It's about loudness. Yes? That's good. That's good stuff. We understand that.
Yeah.
AI, bad. Don't understand.
AI
bad.
dangerous.
AI dangerous. Tesla's bad. Now, that's kind of the main setup, but it kind of has a thing against cars in all forms. And there's a couple of interactions that I want to talk about where Kelly and Colt, they have this flirt friends relationship. Yeah. And for example, they've had this meeting. They've done some tech talk, and now it's about heading back home. And Kelly's like, your car or mine? Should we go back together? Now, they've been flirt friends, so this is not uncommon for them to sort of probe at each other. Hey, do you want to do something after work or something like that? And then he sort of smirks and goes, look, basically the traffic on the I-9 is going to be awful. And if I take you out on the Twin Mercuries, we could be down there in 30. If I'm on high-speed cruise, we could be there in 10 if I do wide open.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to talk.
The only thing you're going to be able to hear is those Johnson extenders cooling off.
The Johnson extenders. and also, look, if it's a 2-foot, and it doesn't matter if Kelly, it doesn't matter if there's 2-footed chop out there.
No.
You won't feel it.
Blitz isn't going to feel a thing.
No. It's a go fast.
Now, of course, Kelly has to be described as all women must be.
She's flawless. She's spectacular. She's beautiful. She's hot. She carries herself well. She's smart. Yeah. She gets along with all of his friends. And that's very important. Very important.
She's a boater.
She's a boater. Of course, she's a boater.
One of her most important qualities that comes up, though, is that one of his previous girlfriends had long hair, which would get all tangled up when Blitz was.
It doesn't agree with the speed. Yeah, it doesn't agree with the speed.
When Blitz was wide open, the hair was getting all flustered about.
And then she was probably prattling on about it afterwards, like, yo, can you not take it wide open?
Yeah, but you can't hear anything because you're going above 100 mph.
Yeah, so it's only after the trip that she finally gets to complain. And then you kind of just were like, what was this trip for?
But Kelly's got short, shoulder-length, platinum blonde hair. And that's hair that agrees with the speed.
Yeah. Now, that's not going to cause her any trouble out there. Especially if she's got the wraparound sunglasses.
No. So they hijack this auction house somehow. And Tech stuff. It's just like bonkers nonsensical.
Analyze the data coming in with this computerized hookup network.
Yeah, and eventually Colt buys a second boat. He names it Emerald IZ, which of course is a reference to Kelly's Emerald Eyes.
Which is just a stone cold hit with the ladies. Everyone, if you're going to buy a boat, name the boat after your lady's eyes.
Yeah. I mean, what other qualities and features do women have besides their looks?
Nothing.
Nothing. I mean, the only other thing they could do is talk, but not when you're blasting us. Yamahas.
We've already taken care of that with the Twin Mercuries.
So, it's AI stuff. It's dinner with friends. We're out on the waters.
I like to imagine
killer Teslas. The stories happening. Flirty. And then
it's like the story was like a balloon, it looks big, it looks juicy, and then you get into it and you feel, what? There's nothing in here.
No.
And then you get to the other side. Like, it's just about Kelly. I would prefer a book that's all about the 1350s. Just give me a whole book about how you don't give a fuck about girls. And to be honest, you don't give a fuck about cash. Give up your mission because all you want to do is rip shit on the 1350s.
Yeah, I mean, the opening thing,
what about, oh my god, can you imagine if the story had something so cool as if, you finally get to the end action scene, guns are being pulled out, and then, he has to sacrifice the speedboat.
Yeah.
To save Kelly or something like that. Now that would have been
even just letting one of the Twin Mercuries go.
Yeah, he's gonna kick
it off for weight or something.
How would that work? Kick off the engine. Make the boat not work to save weight?
I don't know. Listen, I'm not a boater. Okay.
Okay.
I'm more of an AI tech.
You would never give up the engines, all right?
No.
Kick the lady off the boat.
Yeah. I mean, no one would hear if you're going fast enough.
The 1350s would chew her up.
But that's the thing, is like the opening forward about like, I started getting into AI and that's why I wanted to write this book to explore the subject is a lie.
Yeah.
It's just a lie because you didn't want to explore the subject.
No, you just wanted
to
to talk about fucking Kelly.
Yeah, you want to talk about some girl, and it's not even erotic dialogue. It's just like
it's like a 13-year-old girl's will they or won't they sort of idea of romance. It's like
action specialist, wraparound sunglasses wearing Colt Toffler,
legless man
can't decide if he wants to be with a girl who is really just wide open for him.
Yeah. She's literally saying, "I'm ready to go. Take me on the boat."
Yeah, she's telling him to hook her up with the Go Fast.
Yeah, and
he's pulling back into neutral.
Yeah, but that's what the story is about. It's not about doing it. It's just about having the ability to. Yeah. He could date Kelly, could go all the way with her, could tear through that hot piece of ass.
Yeah,
but he's not going to.
No, he's not going to take it open wide.
No, he's not going to take it wide open. He's going to tone it down. He's going to go into neutral. Yeah. He's going to let her talk. It's just about having the ability to, right? Same with the twin Mercuries. Not always about putting them on full blast.
No.
All right?
You don't always got to let the rooster tail fly.
No. The rooster tail shouldn't be flying.
No.
It's just about knowing that you could. That if a bunch of younger people turned up in their boat, you could unleash the 1350s.
Yeah. Now, the rooster tail starts flying when chit-chat stops.
Yeah. Well, there's no chit-chat when the rooster tail starts flying because you simply can't talk.
No, it's louder than a helicopter.
It's louder than a helicopter.
Now, they do end up destroying the server farm. They, like, blow it up or something, and the Teslas are, like, swarming around in the parking lot trying to find...
screaming!
Well, actually...
Well, no, that would be...
Yeah, they're completely silent, as we know.
Now, the 1350s, they're more about...
Now, that's a cruising speed sound.
Oh, yeah. That's going... Wide open, you have to search that up for yourself.
Yeah, we don't want to blow your eardrums out.
Yeah.
So, basically, they take down the server farm, and they make a whole bunch of cash.
Yeah. Now, this is where the quote of the story comes into full fruition, because what we're really talking about here is, oh, the world's grey, ride and rug, who knows?
Yeah.
Leave that for the eggheads.
Yeah.
We're just here to make a little bit of cash. And they make a lot of bit of cash. I mean, this...
They make so much money off of this scheme, and it completely throws out any, like, sort of moral justice they had infused into this plan.
No, but I thought their whole thing was like, oh my God, look at these schemers. Look at Jeff Bezos. David Buxton. Look, he's scamming. He's taking money from indie authors and producing it himself with this AI computer network. Well, let's just make some money off that.
Yeah, actually, instead of destroying the AI system because we're scared about that, let's just steal it
and sell it.
And patent it ourselves. They literally say, Kelly was planning on incorporating a light version of AI into her new system. And yes, a part of it was lifted from the software we liberated from the program system backups in Crozet. But instead of protecting the bad guys, it would now protect our clients. Frankly, we didn't give a damn. We're going to patent the new system. And they make a clean buck off this.
Yeah.
Because they don't just, they had this plan of, we're going to tap into the bank accounts of the Big Nile and siphon the money away and send it to the government, but we'll pocket, 23 mil each for all of our boaties off the top of that.
Yeah.
And they do that.
We'll just take that.
Yeah.
That's just our money now.
Yeah, to quote Colt Toffler, we didn't give a damn.
Now, if this was something more heinous, I don't know where AI books comes on the heinous scale, but they think it's a big crime. Now, on that scale, if you had taken out the AI bookmaking with maybe something a little bit more in the boating scheme, let's say you've got drug smugglers, and you've just found a boat, and it's loaded with dope and cash, and you go, well, look, we'll give most of this money back, but let's keep a cool 150 mil for our guys.
Just enough to become a 3-boat owner.
Yeah, look, I know this money came from drug smuggling, but... Look,
who's going to miss it?
Who's going to miss it? All the people that died to make this.
Yeah. Who's going to notice a new pair of twin Mercuries on the back?
Yeah, just strap a couple extra twin Mercs on.
Make Blitz a quad.
Yeah,
quad
boat. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's just common sense.
They just straight up don't give a fuck.
No.
They really don't.
Care. And that kind of, as I said, comes back to the quote. This idea of, look,
justice is just about convincing people.
Benjamin Netanyahu, the greatest man who ever lived, has told me that I can basically do whatever I want as long as I make people believe that it was just.
Well, really, I mean, the story is about getting Colt and Kelly together so they can check out that new saber line they were spotting.
Oh, yeah. Now,
because, Blitz, that's a go fast, okay? It's not a pleasure craft, and it's not an overnight stayer. It's just about getting from point A to B the fastest as you can. Yeah. They need that new saber line to make it as a sort of mobile home for the two of them.
A floating apartment, if you will.
Yes, exactly.
It's something that really pleases the ladies.
Well, their plan basically goes off without a hitch.
I gotta be honest, I hate that in stories like this. Everything goes to plan. Everyone's got their shit
Tech genius
worked out.
Kelly's plan just works flawlessly.
Just goes ahead.
She explained it so well and so concisely.
Yeah. And without, any relationship stuff in between. Now, honestly, if you took out the Kelly stuff, this book would be maybe 40 pages long.
Yeah, and it would be kind of awesome.
Yeah. It would be like a explosive blast into like the world of AI publishing through the eyes of a man who only cares about boats.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
That would be awesome.
But instead you get a book that's like, this man cares about boats. And he also gives a shit ton too much about this girl.
Yeah. And just role-playing boat life.
Yeah.
Going to friends' boats and having them on his boat and having cocktails.
And cocktails and
just having really mundane dialogue.
And telling me the names of the boats. And telling me who owns which boat.
And what kind of engines they're packing.
Well, yeah. And
this
guy's got a 70-footer. Yeah. He's got a 70-footer.
Well, that's not a go-fast. That's a pleasure craft.
Yeah, that's a pleasure craft.
Well, in a lot of ways, a go-fast could be a pleasure craft. I mean, speed and pleasure go hand in hand.
Yeah, well, if speed is your pleasure, then it is a pleasure craft. But let's be honest, it's about having the option. It's not about using that.
Yeah, and in the end, speed is really about control.
Yeah, and it's about temperance, and it's about moderation.
Yeah, restraint.
Yeah,
which this book had none.
It's like carrying a massive sword with you. You don't want to pull it out.
No,
keep it on the side so everyone knows.
You could
if you wanted to.
You could wield it.
You could wield it. I might wield it. In fact, I probably will.
But there are some loose ends to tie up. The guys at Big Nile's server
secret stuff.
They find out
that program the killer Teslas.
Yeah, they show up with guns while Colt and Kelly are auctioning their new saber line. And the climax of that is that
this part I detested.
So there's a guy named Tyler who is a skydiver. And he, in the middle of the scene where Colt and Kelly are being held at gunpoint, he is flying in a Super Twin Otter turboprop. And he jumps out and he skydives down and kicks the gunman in the head, which breaks their neck.
Yeah.
And then he crashes to the ground, and Colt shoots another guy with a pistol.
He collects one of the guns, shoots with the pistol, and then walks over to the other guy
and shoots him.
And then shoots him first in the
thigh.
In the thigh,
just because.
And this is actually something that we've seen before.
Yeah.
This I'm going to shoot you first in your limb to disarm you, and then when I could take the hero stance of being like, you're going to be locked up for a long time, and I hope you think about your actions. Yeah. And no, execute that motherfucker. Put the gun to his dome. Yeah. And then the girl goes, oh my God, you killed him. And then she's like, I love you, Colt.
Yeah, and then...
I'm not joking!
And not only that, but they also sink the boat that they're on just to cover up the double homicide. And,
because you have to cover up the crime because you're the good guys.
And not just that, but there was a...
Well, you want to get away with the cash.
There was a big money sack under the dashboard there that the criminals were going to run away with, and they just take that.
Yeah.
They take that too, and they give it to the skydiver.
They wanted money from Colt. They wanted the money that Colt stole, and they also had money on the boat that they were going to run away with, that Colt steals.
Yeah, he just gets a big cash sack.
Yeah, he gets a big old cash sack.
Put an extra mercury on that new saber line.
Yeah. Turn your pleasure craft into a go fast.
Well, I might as well have them be the same.
No, well, there's no reason not to have extra power on your boat.
No. And then Colt goes to Big Nile and he squeezes the vice chairman to get the David Buxton to resign. And of course, in the midst of all this, he does a little bit of insider trading because he knows the stock's going to plummet, buys up a lot of it.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, he makes a ton of cash off of this scheme. But it's really about preventing AI from taking over the world.
Yes, that's what it's about. That we're protecting the world from AI Teslas that are going to murder people.
But if we get a couple new pleasure crafts in the end, who's going to notice?
I'm just going to get $23 million for everyone on my team. Now, I had another problem with the plot. Now, David Buxton, Jeff Bezos.
Someone we've discussed frequently.
And we're his main opponents in the business world, I would say. We're like we're the counterweight.
We're equals.
Yeah, we're equals. Now, he makes around $250 million every day or something like that. So he's getting $1 billion a week.
Yeah,
let's just like top it at that. You know? Now, this man is going to put his company, his fortune, his life, his career on the line to make what in the story is $1 billion.
Not even that.
It's like the opportunity. Like they're not even making that when they're like trying to hustle it. They're like, we're at 660 million, you know, like
it doesn't start there. It's like the big auction to write a book that's going to sway the election starts off at like 200 mil and it keeps getting bidded up to like 600 mil. And Jeff Bezos
why would he give a fuck about that?
He makes more than $1 billion just selling real books.
Yeah.
Or mostly real books.
Yeah, and then he doesn't have to get into any trouble with anyone.
Like the scale of the operation in this story with the Jeff Bezos parallel.
But doesn't even understand, like, and like, how long did it take us to look up how much Jeff Bezos makes in a week?
Seconds.
Yeah.
A little bit slower than an AI-powered Tesla with a mini-brain supercomputer that can make the decision in a nanosecond.
Yeah. And then the backhoe that's going to bury you and smooth over the dirt. So
yeah, it actually does say that AIs know exactly where to bury the bodies.
Yeah. And I also feel like it doesn't really understand what like AI is. It's not just like a self-driving car. When the guy in the beginning of the book that inspired this book is talking to his graduating class or whatever, and he's saying like, look out for AI because that is the thing that's going to come for jobs, not just blue-collar jobs, but white-collar jobs. And in that sense, it's talking about, like, the ability to do the work that we're already doing and do the work of many thousands and millions of people.
Yeah.
And what Don Rich thinks AI is a mini-brain in a Tesla that can kill you and knows how to bury a body, and it can write a book about things that were written recently. Which is better than a human how?
Well, there's also this great little line where Colt is talking to Sandy after the plot is finished. Sandy's the novelist. And Colt says something to the effect of like, oh, you can stop worrying about those AI-written books for now. I'm sure it'll come up later. But maybe in the future, it'll be like wild-caught versus farmed seafood. And you'll have to pay different premiums on whether books were written by humans or written by machines. And it's like, this is Don Rich's view into the future of this problem escalating.
Yeah, and like, look, Don Rich, if you want to sell more books, be a better writer. Like, honestly, you shouldn't worry about an AI coming for your job because I don't really think that you have much of a job. Like, AI is not going to come after your job because AI is not writing books about speedboating. Like,
if an AI were to write a book about speedboating, it wouldn't make 70% of it about Kelly.
No. In fact, I'm pretty sure it would be pretty good.
Yeah, I actually want to read that instead of this one. And now this isn't the only novel of coastal intrigue by Mr. Don Rich. He's got a whole series of books that are all about presumably boat life and
Twin Mercuries, Yamahas,
with like a little bit of like
there'll be some crime, but
stuff.
I'm going to assume that it's going to be like 10% crime, 10% speedboat, and then a whole lot of should I date this girl or should I not date this girl? Even though we're totally compatible and she likes all my friends and we're totally fit for each other and she's the greatest girl I've ever met, but I'm still not sure because I'm afraid to love.
Oh my God. Why does this keep happening to us? That like we find this great book and it's got this great premise and this really weird blending of ideas and such a great authorial voice and personality, and then it's just a bunch of bullshit.
Because it doesn't matter how good your authorial voice is or even how good your writing is. Because if you write books that switch their content out for your own personal like fantasies, No one's going to want to read that. No one wants to read your fantasies. I want to read about the speedboats.
Whose fantasy is it to fumble over some girl that you're flirt friends with for several years and to almost get with them but not really, and then almost get with them and then get a boat together, and like, how is that a fantasy?
Because everyone in the story is, again, like, talking about their relationship. It's like, even the bad guys, right? And the big, like, gun pointing, we've got your people kidnapped type thing, they're like, and look out, because now Kelly and Colt are together.
Yeah, it's really bizarre. They even have some dialogue, like how the goons found out that it was, Team Boat.
The goons.
Like, the Big Nile goons. How they figured out that it was Team Boaty that, like, stole their money or whatever. They're talking to each other and they're like, oh, it was that couple, at the marina distracting
that
us.
Hot couple with that awesome boat. And
they looked like
that guy really has it together, even though his legs are gone.
And they looked like they were a really good couple.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're still together. Like, that's their dialogue.
Yeah. Because the man is just obsessed with, like, it's not like a sexual fantasy. It's like a social fantasy. Of, like,
yeah.
Oh, we're the hottest couple, and like people were saying like, oh, could they
Everyone
do it?
wants to invite us on their boat.
Yeah, and like, hey, how are you guys doing? I know you're the hottest power couple out there right now, and you guys really seem compatible. Are you going to make it work? And like
let's talk about it on our yacht.
He's constantly thrust into conversations, even with his like niece bringing it up and stuff like that. Of like, oh, so are you guys an article now? Like, and, oh, I didn't set this date up. And, like, and Colt is going, oh, this wasn't even supposed to be a date. Like, I'm not even sure about this relationship at the moment,
It's like
and
a teenage drama.
Yeah, it's like high school level. She's the hottest, I'm the hottest guy out here, and we're both super smart and stuff like that, so we're the perfect match.
There's literally no reason for us not to be together. Then, the story needs another 50 pages.
Yeah, it's like a delusional level of... First, I have to take her out onto the boat, and I'm just going to make up an issue that we're having, like, I'm not ready, or this is going too fast, or even though they're not doing anything.
No.
Like, they just had a nice dinner one time, and I also love the cooking stuff. The food that they eat. Of course, I mean, they're a coastal people and maritime lovers. But it's always just like, we were eating crabs. Like, we were eating lobsters.
We was cruising down the Potomac.
Yeah, I picked up a couple of extra fillets. Like, and then...
There's a lot of grill talk.
Yeah, and right at the end, it sort of comes back around to that because he finally gets the grill that he's going to put on his pleasure craft, Emerald IZ. And it's kind of like... He's like, now he's got the girl. He's finally got over his own fucking bullshit and just started dating the girl that was perfect for him, his flirt friend.
And he's got huge piles of cash.
He's unlimited money. A brand new company, which is a security company based on boats and...
It has a new AI-powered system to protect
clients. Anyway, and he's talking about this grill, and he's like, look, I'm still top dog because even though Kelly makes everything else, I'm still the grill master.
Yeah.
And he sort of plays it off as like, this is guy stuff. This is guy stuff.
That's man shit.
But like, why do you need to claim ownership? Why is that a repeating theme in the story? I feel like he had personal issues with like, he doesn't know how to do anything other than turn a piece of meat over on a grill. And therefore, he's like argued it to himself and in the book that actually grilling something is the main article. It's like the main meal and requires the most amount of efficiency. So he's kind of top chef. And don't argue with him because this is not the place.
No, it's not.
He's got the girl.
Yeah.
He has the grill.
Yeah.
He has the boat.
And if he ever gets tired of any of that,
he'll throttle up.
He'll throttle up.
He'll turn the twin Mercuries up.
Yeah.
He'll go wide open.
He'll go wide open.
100% wide open.
Yeah. So that was GhostWRITER.
A book that took us up and down and then bored us to death. Like,
I mean,
it was like so exciting to begin with. I was so amped. I was like, oh my God, they're talking about...
Are we going to get into the boating genre now?
Yeah, like I was so thrilled by it. And then it just dropped the ball completely.
It turned into a modern day Johnson of the Mantis where instead of the hot robo-lady just doing everything he says, just kind of like dangles a carrot in front of the main character and walks away going, tee-hee.
Yeah. Are you going to get the girl? You're totally compatible, but...
they're just flirt friends.
They're just flirt friends, and do you want to upset that dynamic?
No.
So
maybe next time we find a novel of coastal intrigue, it will actually be about speedboats and catching bad guys.
Well, What can you do? I almost thought this book in the beginning was a little bit too good.
Yeah.
It was almost like, wow, he used the prologue correctly.
Yeah.
It is a foreword, where he's talking about his inspiration
It was
for the
so
book. I was
honest.
like, it was so honest, and I was like, oh my God, is this above our pay grade?
It's going to be a gem for us.
And then, no.
No, it's exactly the same thing we fucking read every time.
Yeah. Guy has girl troubles for no reason. He gets the girl. He gets the grill.
Gets the boats.
Gets the boats. Doesn't have legs.
Doesn't
Don't
get
need
those.
legs because he got the
actually-
twin Mercuries.
Yeah.
The cars are slow. There's always a traffic jam on the highways.
Yeah.
Every time. No cars allowed.
No.
Don't use the car. We're not even going to talk about it.
No, and don't traverse by land.
Also, I might
Ramps can slow him down.
Yes, I'm not going... I think the reason is he can't use a car because he doesn't have legs.
And it's okay
You can
for
use a boat because it's all hand operated, yeah? Like, you've got the steering wheel, you've got the throttle.
Yeah.
It's a big part of boating, I've learned.
And all you need that for is a strong, steady grip.
Yeah, and but otherwise you're sitting down, Now in a car, you've got to use pedals. Can't use that. Cars are the enemy.
Cars are the enemy. They're killers, actually.
Yeah, they're murderers.
It's this killing field.
Especially quiet engine cars.
Yeah.
And especially tractors. Something I can't use because I don't have legs.
They're the dirt diggers.
Thank you everyone for listening and supporting the show. We really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to subscribe and join in the conversation with us on one of our platforms. You can find us on Discord, Twitter, and Reddit, and we also stream live on Twitch. You can support the show through Patreon or just by sharing the show with your friends. Thanks!